Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spiritual Readiness on the Time of the Shift. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about the predictions for the next 4 to 5 years. And this is coming from a channeling I did last October that came through the Galactic Regent Council. They are a collective of 12 elders who compose the governance of the Milky Way galaxy. Given the polarization and given that now we know that the polarization and the tribalism that the world is experiencing is not about xenophobia per se, but rather that parallel realities are occupying the same space. Multiple fractions who have different goal of what the future looks like are all trying to gather people together to follow them into the reality of their future, of their choosing, or the future that they desire to achieve. Why is this so important right now? Because giving, I don't know exactly the exact date because it hasn't been revealed to me yet. The Milky Way galaxy is a flat spiral galaxy. It has a thickness of about, let's say, about 100 light years across. The top and the bottom of it are completely empty. The Milky Way galaxy, the solar system is in the middle of it, and the planet rotates around the sun, but the entire solar system rotates around the core of the Milky Way galaxy. And in the process of this rotation, we wobble up or down past the crust. And that takes usually 31 million years for this to happen. Every time we cross the equator, because when we wobble up or down, we face the light of the galactic equator without any planet or dust particle blocking us. When this occurs, it is a creative opportunity for any sentient life form to ascend and shift realities and achieve great things. In the Galactic Regent Council language, they call these times the Great Harvest. We're about now to have the 7th crossing for this galactic year. And in the process of this crossing, the people who are not prepared to move their expectation from the Galactic Regent Council, they expect us to be at a certain level of growth, for us to, this is why they call it the Great Harvest. More people, en masse, a whole bunch of people can achieve ascendance, can elevate their consciousness and enter into a realm of deep and profound expansion. But there are others who are resisting the change. And therefore, they will create all kind of chaos and distraction to cause many of us to derail and not follow the path. They will be very loud. You're seeing it right now. Whether politically right now, you're seeing politicians and people on social media that are creating such chaos and such disruption that if you allow yourself to be inflamed by it, it's going to derail you and distract you from focusing on what you need to focus on to get to where you're supposed to go. Okay? Giving everything else that's happening now, what I got from the Galactic Regent Council channeling is that by 2020, this country will not be in the shape that we have currently right now. And this is true of the whole planet, because the division and the separation between the various realities will be so sharp that certain violence will break out in the street. Certain people will feel unsafe in certain regions and therefore will not travel to them. And that in turn, over the next 2 to 3 years, will cause countries to separate and break apart. And as this happens, the pieces of what was unified before will begin to fragment. And as this fragmentation occurs, the debt that was taken about from the unified country, from lenders, will not be serviced because none of the fraction will want to service it. And it will derail by 2024 the entire financial market. the global financial market. Now, in addition to that, there is all the climate change issues. There are all kinds of atmospheric and tectonic change that are taking place as well, and not to mention even the disease, because as the permafrost are melting, there are prehistoric pathogens that are going to be released in the atmosphere that were frozen under the ice. What am I saying? They are predicting that there's going to be a die-off of some kind. And I know this to be so true and so real for me that I've already arranged from the Tibetan Book of the Dead a protocol for mourning and for quick release of grieving and emotions. I have it already ready. How do we thrive and survive in that environment? The Galactic Regent Council have giving us some clues. The first thing is your relationship with your Creator, however you conceive it to be. You have to cultivate a deep and profound and continual relationship with your Creator, because out of that landscape where everything is shifting and moving, it will feel like walking on quicksand. The only thing that will not change is that relationship. The only foundation you will have is your relationship with your Creator. If you think of the word God and it's vague to you, or it feels traumatized or toxic, you have an unhealthy relationship with God that was due to your connection to churches and religious organizations. You need to unravel this and create a new relationship. Okay? Item number 2, emotional intelligence. You have to work on not only reconciling the 5 basic emotions that human beings connect to. Fear, connected to some sort of survival issue that creates either attack or defense. And at the moment you may experience joy, and if you're very lucky, you might experience love. And that's it. That's the average human being on the planet. We understand the other emotion from a dictionary or definition point of view, but we have no visceral emotional contact in our body as to what they actually feel like. So you have to first do emotional intelligence work to make sure that you disconnect the fear, the attachment that you have to this 3D reality. Beyond that point, you have to cultivate 144 higher emotion, connection to higher emotion, like mercy, like gratitude, like peace, serenity, all of these emotions that we have dictionary definition of what the words actually mean, but we have no visceral, impactful experience as to what it means to us. And as you cultivate, it's called the cultivation of the virtue, and as you cultivate this, you evolve a huge repertoire of understanding. And in this evolution, you begin to ascend. Because what's holding 3D reality in place is a customized version, personally to each one of us, a fear that gravitates around survival. And it's like a giant trunk that has a lot of branches and deep-rooted system. It has all of these tributary other things that are connected to it. And we need to unravel every one of them and let it go. This is the only resonance that's going to happen. You have to have non-attachment. And then beyond that point, you have to evolve a connection with higher emotion. And when you begin to surrender to the higher emotion, you're going to find the key emotion that connects to the higher densities. Each higher density is connected to one key emotion. The same way the 3D has to do with fear connected to survival, the 4D is connected to a higher emotion, the 5D and 6D and beyond. And unless you're cultivating yourself to evolve and grow into a larger set of emotional repertoire, you will eventually find the key. And why in all sacred literature there was always a conversation about 144,000? It's because it takes 144,000 people to connect to a higher emotion of a potential density, a potential higher dimension, for that dimension to be grounded through a wave function collapse to allow this vortex to begin to generate a centrifuge. And that centrifuge will become what attracts people to that particular frequency and vibration of that density. I hope this helps clarify that a little bit. I mentioned that there were other things. You have to become neutral. I will mention them very quickly, but I'll go into the details in the next video. You have to become neutral. You have to live sustainably, be as green as possible, as renewable as possible in where you are. And the final thing is for you to exist in communities. By yourself, you will not survive the change. You need to identify your community, you have to group yourself together, and you need to create a community of ascended being. I'm trying to do this. I have created the Gaiaville Retreat Center in the Catskill. I have acreage there, and I will leave the link for that information below. And next time, I will go a little bit further about the strategies for survival through this transition and the shift. I hope you enjoyed this video. Giving a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel, and leave your comments below and let me know what you're thinking and what video suggestion that you might have for the future. Thank you very much.